Hello, welcome everybody back. We're going into round 2 now. What are round 1 of the day? Well, I say round 2. Round 2 of the day. Technically it's round 11 as we are in day 2 of Malmo Regional here. My name is Mike. I'm joined by Ben. Are you excited for this next one?
Yeah, I'm so pumped. We've seen such great talent already through day 1, but of course our last round was so explosive as well. I've seen Brennan take the game against what we think is a bad matchup. You know, we've seen that time and time again. Now through day 1, you know, players overcoming their challenges and really taking the win by storm. So, you know, hopefully we can see more of that as we go throughout day 2 as well.
Yeah, Turbo Lost Box is probably the only Lost Box where the Rapid Strike is a little bit worried, just because of that potential to get the Ryko out, the speed of which it can go through, and you're never going to get a Remoraid out against that with that Greninja.
No, yeah, of course, and make it even worse by prizing too as well.
So you know, lucky.
that'll definitely lessen your odds of getting the artillery out. But yeah, you are right. The Turbo Lost Box, of course, having that ongoing massive pressure from the Raikou, from the Dragonite, it's really daunting to see. If you just have, say, the Urshifu Via and the active, you know, it being 220 HP, it's just such an easy 2 prizes for, say, the Dragonite to take.
It's fun right here. We've got Lost Box with Charizard and Sableye. We've got the Lost Box which goes down the Kyogre route. Then we've got the Turbo Lost Box with those V attackers. It's fun to see all the different flavors of Lost Box going on here. Same thing with Arceus. The Duraludon with Umbreon is looking really good here as the primary Arceus build, where Giratina less popular now after having success in other regionals. You know, people tend to start thinking about it, how we can beat this deck. So everyone really trying to shift around the meta, and I think Arceus and Lost Box engines are the two that are best at shifting their flavors.
Yeah, I know. We've got such great decks in the format. Mew, Lugia, Lost Box. We talk about their engines, their main engines. They offer so much flexibility to players to show off their great deck building skills. And of course, as you went through with Lost Box, you know, 3 different options right there. But of course, you can mix it up a bit. As we saw from Jesper, you know, the Turbo Lost Box, but just with the one addition from the Kyogre. You know, it gives it a lot of flexibility, a lot of options in the game to really take your good matchups, you know, or take your bad matchups from bad to better, let's say, if for lack of a better term. Yeah, no, so fantastic to see.
And there's even like the Zamazenta, you got Galarian Moltres. We even saw Tropius appear for a little bit as a counter to Lugia with the Tyranitar. There's all sorts of different ways you can play it, and then obviously the Mawile. I mean, we could name cards all day, the Lost Engine, but one thing's for sure is that the Lost Engine is very effective here. Gudra also piloting it a little bit, so it's been probably the strongest engine in the last few rotations, the metas, everything. But we have seen Gardevoir having great success at the top. You know, Tord piloting it, both the Schultz brothers piloting it, my boy Kai, the local boy Kai piloting it. So we'll see plenty of different decks here today, and hopefully for you guys, we'll be getting into round 11 fairly quickly. I see the players are sitting down, and we'll get to that in a bit. We'll tell you exactly who's going to be playing for you. But I want you guys to let us know in the chat, who do you want to see today? You know, a lot of the top players, a lot of everyone's favorite players are doing very well, are in day 2. So if you check out the pairings, there's 52 players, so I'm sure one of them you like, and you can let us know which of them you want to be seeing here. We'll see if we can try and get them on stream. As for you, sir, I think I want to know who's your player to watch today. Who's the big name you're looking out for?
There's so many great players that out there. You know, there's so much great talent, as I've mentioned numerous times now for the past couple of days. But you know, I love Paolo Mimoso. He's my boy. Taking Mew. You know, multiple day 2s, 3 day 2s in a row now. Definitely one player to watch. You know, looking for that top 22 invite as well. He's definitely a player to keep an eye on as we go through the day 2 today. You know, maybe you can get those last minute points just to secure that day 2 invite for the World Championships in Yokohama. But of course, you know, as per usual, everybody looks out for him. Tord Reklev taking the Gardevoir.
All right, we know he's here. He's made day 2.
Well, if you would ask me to say who's going to make it to the regional, Tord Reklev's always a fantastic shout.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, a lot of great talent. Fabio Spano, also multiple day 2s, making a great finish here out in EUIC. Had a chance to meet him earlier in the day. He's feeling super confident as well. You know, but so is everyone else. You know, a lot of players out there feeling the pressure, but taking it on and playing, you know, absolutely fantastically. You know, we've got 52 players here in day 2, and you know, they all have such a great chance.
We have 52 players here in day 2, but we're going to show you just 2 of them competing here on the stage as we see them shuffling up their decks ready for this game. I'm sure you're all excited to find out what matchup we have here, as the feature table has been a place of joy and fun for many people, as you can see on the stage here. wonderful beards from both these players. I think we can first take note of that. Ross versus Philip, Lugia V-Star and Mew VMAX on show here. Mew VMAX being my deck that I backed coming into this tournament. I was very excited to see that we had Gabor on here playing it so well. Lugia V-Star, however, is definitely one of those scary matchups because of all the dark types.
Yeah, no, Ross is no stranger to great success. He's a fantastic player. If you're part of the UK scene, you know how well he plays. Playing that Mew VMAX on multiple occasions now, taking it to such great heights. And Philip Rowley, as somebody who can make a real name for himself here in this tournament as well. Making a day 2, no easy feat, as we've mentioned numerous times before. And of course, is it a good matchup? It's usually sometimes decided on the dice roll, but we can see here if that's the case, but like you said, can utilize a lot of dark Pokemon. He is playing that single prize Yveltal, which can be deadly for the Mew, but with the Mew VMAX having Judge Path, Judge Path Prey is a tried and tested method of winning. So we'll see here the fist pump there, and we kicked off.
Yeah, game 1 beginning, and that's Luminion in the active spot. Not the optimal start. There is 2 Luminion typically now in Lugia, as is the case here for Philip, so there will be opportunity to use that later on. There will also be ways to get rid of it with the collapsed stadium, but still wanting to have that Lugia out the front. And for Mew, the main idea is disrupt the summoning star. If you can delay them from getting their Archeops out, then you're in a much better position. Like you mentioned, all these dark type attackers will trade effectively into the Mew VMAX. 1 prize Yveltal in for a 3 prize Mew VMAX, or even the Tyranitar being a 2 prize attacker, taking those knockouts on the Mew VMAX. So doesn't want those to be powered up at all.
Yeah, super disruptive to the prize trade for Ross, but seeing that the Luminion start for Philip, super unfortunate for him, but we can see if Ross can capitalize on this. We can see that Ross is playing the Echoing Horn. If he can take an easy 2 prizes on the Luminion, and it's just another simple 2 prizes with the Echoing Horn as well. We can see if that game plan comes out, but here we see the first coin flip with the Capturing Aroma. I can't see if it was heads.
I think that's a 5.
It's a 5, so have an evolution Pokemon.
I mean, we'll see what comes out. I assume they'll know whether it's a 5 or another number, but it looks like they're looking for an evolution Pokemon, so it must have been.
Grabbing that Archeops. Sometimes I think this is the only deck where you want to flip a Tails in some circumstances. Grabbing an evolution.
Isn't a Tails a basic? I thought heads was. Because it's the bigger number. So this is something that everyone struggles with, right?
Yeah, heads should be an evolution Pokemon, so we'll just get the judges to check that out. You are right, so...
Oh, it was a 2.
Oh, it was a 2. Okay.
I assumed the players could see the number better than we can there. Unfortunately, the light just shining on that dice there, making it quite hard to see the number.
Yeah.
I would trust a Lugia player to know the heads and tails better than anyone.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For those at home, my way of remembering it is odds are typically lower than evens because it's 1 through 5, 2, 4, 6. And so the even numbers will be the bigger one, which is the evolutions.
Correct, yeah, but on the flip side, we're Capturing Aroma. Sometimes you want to grab the basics. Sometimes you see that opening hand, no Lugia V in sight. Sometimes you want to grab, like I said earlier, sometimes Capturing Aroma comes up trumps if it does flip Tails. It's the only deck, like I said, that I've ever seen that sometimes wants to flip that Tails result. But here we see the first deck search from Ross, seeing what's available to him. Echoing Horn not in the discard pile, but prizing 2 Path to the Peak is going to harm that game plan, like we said, of the Judge Path Prey. But here we see riffling through the deck. Arven, an interesting inclusion into the Mew VMAX.
Yeah, I think Arven, questionable because you're always looking to do a judge every turn, right? You want to disrupt your opponent's hand, and with the Arven, it's going to be a turn where you get a power spike potentially of getting the important trainer and tool for yourself. But if you're in that turn, maybe it would be better to judge and try and draw through it. I guess the main factor is there's a lot of really important turns where you need to get a power tablet and a choice belt, for example, so it can really help you get those finishing blows.
Yeah, really flexible. We can see here that Ross is playing the Cleansing Gloves build of Mew VMAX, taking advantage of the Psychic Leap knockouts on the com phase for that Lost Box matchup. But if you're playing 4 tool cards, why not play the Arven? And like I said, added flexibility, so you can grab that Forest Seal Stone and a power tablet. But here we see a massive pop-off on the draw into the VIP pass.
There's something about multiple battle VIP pass at the start where people almost feel guilty. They're like, I'm really sorry, but I've managed to get everything I need this turn, as they go through their deck and fill out their bench, especially for Mew when they want to get as wide as possible to increase the efficacy of the Fusion Strike system. 5 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play now, so each of those will be making the hand, and a 6th making that hand go all the way up to 6.
Yeah, what a start here from Ross. And like you said, sometimes it just feels unfair. Sometimes you say, sorry, you know, I'm fully set up for the rest of the game. What's happening on your side? But, you know, for Philip, hopefully he can pop off with a summoning star next turn. But here we see just debating the other...
I think there was a Cramomatic there.
Yeah,
so
just debating the Cramomatic.
Doesn't want to get rid of that Echoing Horn, I think, and is trying to save that for later. And this is one of the hardest bits of Mew. Like, Mew is very forgiving in general as a deck because you have so much draw potential. But the what you get rid of with those Chromatics is the point where you see the better players come through. And you see exactly that there from Ross, not getting rid of the Echoing Horn, then only draws 2 rather than 4, ends up getting into that Judge, and will maintain the Echoing Horn and the Power Tablet in the deck.
And here we see the first Judge of the game from Ross. See if he can disrupt Philip a little bit more. And of course, with the Capturing Aroma, knowing that he has the Archeops in hand, will surely disrupt his game plan that little bit further. And that's a wasted resource now, of course, for Philip. So we'll see how he comes up trumps with the draw 4 from the Judge here.
I mean, you just look at that. You like the Judge. He's got 4 cards. He needs to find a Lugia V-Star, discard both Archeops, and potentially get rid of a path in play. We haven't seen that yet, but that could also be the case. And it's near impossible for Lugia V-Star to do that. Yeah,
and we see the draw into the path itself as well, just like you said. So we can see the path coming down and has the Lost Vacuum in hand ready for next turn.
Goodness gracious me. And the V-Star and the Forest Seal Stone still available.
Yeah.
So everything very much set up here for the Mew VMAX. That Judge going to come through, so the Lost Vacuum no longer in the hand.
Yeah, no, and we can see here the Judge from Philip. So the second Judge of the game. We're having a Judge off here. And, you know, I think Ross is in such a commanding position here. If he can manage to take the knockout next turn on the Luminion, you know, he's in such a good position for that game plan, like I said, with the Echoing Horn. You know, and he can just be a couple of bosses away from game.
100%. And that Lugia V-Star on the bench, I think even the Lugia V would be a nice target, just trying to get as many of these Vs down. If, say, and the Tyranitar as well. I mean, there's so many good targets to start attacking early. One thing to note about the Tyranitar is having 230 hit points is big in this matchup because it does force another damage modifier. You can't just use a Choice Belt or 1 Power Tablet. So Tyranitar, very bulky and a scary prospect.
Yeah, and that's where it really shines in this matchup, especially with the V-Guard energy as well. You know, asking a lot more from Ross to take that knockout, like you said. A lot of damage modifiers required. And, you know, when you're coming up against a, you know, fully powered up Tyranitar taking 3 prizes, it's a really scary prospect to face. But here we see the Lost Vacuum, and those Genesects are back online.
Yeah, and a Roxanne being put into the Lost Zone, which is typically a bad idea from you because you want that comeback potential at the end. But because this matchup is so early game focused, you have to disrupt early. Roxanne, if you do that at the end, they've already got the Archeops set up, so it won't be relevant in this game here. So you can see that draw engine really kicking into gear, and Ross is going to be looking to try and get a Mew VMAX, get an attack off, and start that disruption back up again.
Yeah, just debating whether to discard the Judge or the Boss's Orders. Discarding Judge, usually, well, I can see that he's in such a commanding position that he doesn't need the Judge. If he can just find a switch out on the draw from the Genesects, you know, like I said, advantageous position, can still take the knockout on the Luminion, but if he can manage to switch and boss up that Lugia V, like you said earlier, you know, even better.
Yeah, that Genesect in the active spot, another challenge here. We'll be able to use an energy to retreat, which is in the hand now. Ideally wanting to use a switch out, switch cart, or an escape rope. In this situation, escape rope would get rid of the Luminion. So there's lots to think about here for the optimal route. Could even look to try and take out the Lugia V-Star now with the power tablets. So we'll put both of those down. So he's going to be looking to reach for a big knockout here. With that Mew VMAX. So it goes for the boss onto Lugia V-Star, so now needs 1 more damage modifier to try and get that knockout on the Lugia V-Star.
Yeah, doesn't want to use the manual switch out. He does have double turbo energy in hand for the manual switch, but doesn't want to really use that just in case he has to attach to his Mew V for next turn. But here we can see, yeah, having to manually attach there, not optimal, but, you know, if you're going to be taking a knockout on the Lugia V-Star, not terrible.
Yeah, and still got that Forest Seal Stone to get the final damage modifier if needed. And this is the advantage of Mew. You can draw and see if you get it through draw, then always have that backup just in case. And we'll see that there.
Yeah.
The V-Star flipped over for the Forest Seal Stone. We'll go into the deck to find, I assume, a Choice Belt to try and save power tablets for later, but maybe just using a power tablet. Interesting. So I guess the Choice Belt is priced. Hadn't noticed that. Yeah, so the Choice Belt being priced has to go for the power tablet to get that full 280 on the Lugia.
Yeah, I really like this from Ross. You know, seeing what you're going to get from those Genesects before deciding what you're going to be having to take from the Forest Seal Stone. Optimal play there. You know, seeing what outs you have before having to use that really powerful Star Alchemy ability. Grabbing any card from the deck is so advantageous sometimes and puts you in such a great position to find that last one card, that one switch out, that one power tablet, and we see just that here.
So if you look at the prize cards here, 4 remaining for Mew VMAX, needs to take another 2 knockouts. But with Mew VMAX, it's only two survivals needed. So the Yveltal down. If Philip is somehow able to get the Summoning Star on board here, then we'll have a route to victory. So one more turn needs to be won back for Ross here. So this research is huge, it's vital.
This really needs to be a good research here, and not finding any Ultra Balls, just that one Archeops. I can probably see writing on the wall here for Philip before Ross really takes this game by storm. Just a little shake of the head there as well.
Because this is one of the quicker matchups,
yeah.
These guys can play it out a little bit further. We've seen quite a lot of Lost Box and Gardevoir on stream, and with those matchups, you have to really motor through the game to make sure you can get another one in. Whereas for Lugia and Mew, like we can see right now, we're almost at a conclusion here for this first game, and it's barely even been 10 minutes. So both players happy to play it out a little bit more, see a little bit more information, and just check to see if there is a way to retreat this Mew out the active and get another attack off, because it might win a turn back anyway.
Yeah, that Tyranitar unfortunately stuck in the active. And we see the Cramorant. Oh, I think that was a 2. I believe that was a 2. Well, it was a heads. So we see here, I imagine he's going to be grabbing the boss. Yeah, just ready for bossing up that Lumenion, as we mentioned earlier, possibly even the Lugia V. However, needs that one damage modifier. Lumenion's such an easy target for Mew. It's such a scrumptious 2 prizes for Mew to take. No damage modifiers required, just the straight 2 prizes. And like you said, in these matchups where you're taking big knockouts on 2 prize Pokemon, having a 170 HP Pokemon on your field isn't a great board state.
Yeah, and what we saw here with the pass into Mew, there's something people often overlook, is if they've put a path in play and they've just used Technoblast, they still have to do quite a lot, because they have to get rid of the path. If it's not in their hand from last turn, they might checkmate themselves into having to skip a turn.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Philip is waiting here to see, rather than scooping too early. I do believe Ross has a Lost Vacuum in hand, can get rid of that path. If he takes the 2 prize knockout, doesn't even need to replace the path, which, as we know, the last 2 are prize. So a commanding position here for Ross. If he gets one more knockout here, we'll do so there. Has a Mew VMAX ready to attack. The Choice Belt going down. Might look to take out this Tyranitar to leave the Luminion in play, so the Echoing Horn is not something needed. But we know there's only 1 power tablet left to knock out that Tyranitar.
Yeah, the Tyranitar having that V-Guard energy will say no, but you know, bossing up that Lugia V does look pretty spicy. So we see the Palpad with the boss back into deck.
Oh, was that a V-Guard?
Yeah, I believe it's a V-Guard.
These gold cards are so shiny.
The bling. It's
the bling.
Burning my eyes.
So yeah, Luminion, or I guess the Lugia as well, could be a good target.
Yeah. I imagine he probably will be taking down that Lugia. It's keeping the Luminion on the bench. You know, I'll save that one for later. I'll save that one for game. But here we see
you want a Summoning Star? Don't think so. No Lugia's in play, I'm afraid.
And exactly, yeah. Well, of course, if you don't have to use Echoing Horn to take game, you know, you definitely want to go through that route. If Philip's able to disrupt the hand, all Ross will need is just a quick boss for game on the Luminion. But here we see Fusion Strike system, nice and active. I absolutely love this deck. The path disruption, I'm just going to Lost Vacuum in next turn and then put down my next path. It's really reminiscent of the Zoroark Garbodor that we saw all those years ago. And we see a concession here from Philip, seeing that writing was on the wall. what a runaway from Ross.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole Mew VMAX game plan there. Disrupt enough that you can stop them summoning Star a few turns in a row, and then bosh at the end there, can't do anything. So even when Lugia goes first, the fact that they can then judge on their first turn of the game can be so deadly. So great start there for the Mew VMAX. Judge path is an effective way to win games now. We've seen it across the board, and that is exactly why it is there. Ross, a somewhat less experienced player, but doing so well here in this tournament. Liverpool, best finish so far. But this is what we're seeing a lot this season. A lot of these newer players who are really flourishing in the last few years.
Yeah, Ross is a sort of player that really knows his stuff. You ever speak to him, he knows his matchups well. He's just, coming into tournaments really confident. He knows his game plans, he knows his outs, and we saw that just there as well. Such a great advert for that Mew VMAX deck, doing exactly what it's intended to do.
So Mew VMAX, one of the best decks in format when no one thinks it's the best deck in format. The moment people aren't worried about it, it gets better. Drapion Vs everywhere. We've seen the Umbreon VMAX appearing with an Arceus build. So all of these dark type attackers being sprinkled in. It also helps a little bit against stuff like Gardevoir. So there isn't just the Mew VMAX being targeted by it. But the moment Mew VMAX becomes less relevant, people stop teching for it, and that's when it starts to flourish.
No, yeah, totally right. And it's reminiscent of something my friend said, or maybe last year, I think it was, Tamau Cameron said, just play Mew VMAX. Nobody's expecting it. That's when it's best, like you said, and when people aren't teching for Mew VMAX, they can take the game just right by storm. And here we see a quick Ultra Ball. Oh,
no. They're shaking their head from Ross.
And here we see players shaking their head. Both players having fun out there. Ross just having a look down at the crowd. And here we see the first deck search from Philip. Playing it a little bit hastily here, of course, needing that win to maybe take it to game 3 to try and get a winner in this game. And here we see just the prize check, as all good players do.
I mean, looking at those prizes, pretty much all of them are cards that there are multiple of in the deck, so nothing too much to worry about. Maybe that single strike energy could come back and be a problem, or the urn if a lot of discard happens at any point. But as mentioned, that double Archeops being discarded in the first turn. We saw the Judge disruption. When there's no Archeops in the discard pile, it becomes so much more effective, because trying to discard other cards off a 4-card hand is very difficult. But when all that is needed is a Lugia V-Star and a Path Bounce, it becomes a lot more simple.
Yeah, and I absolutely love this hand here, because the Capturing Aroma flip really, really matters. If he gets heads, he has to go for the Lugia V-Star, get Summoning a Star off. But if he gets tails, he has to go for that Lumenion to try and find a supporter to get into some more cards next turn. Really exciting stuff. We all love a coin flip, ladies and gentlemen.
And the fun thing about the Capturing Aroma, which the better players now are doing, is they're playing around either outcome, right? So if it's a tails, they go down one route. If it's a heads, they go down the other route, as you just mentioned. I think that's a really fun situation, because a lot of people get very frustrated with Capturing Aroma, going, oh, I didn't flip right. And it's like, well, you should play in a way that flipping either works.
Yeah, no, for sure. And here we see it's back on Ross's turn. It's the other side of the door. We see the Trekking Shoes deliberating, the Ultra Ball taking that one draw. Now, we've spoken a bit before this game. Trekking Shoes, such a great inclusion. And why so?
Everyone loves to stomp around in their trekking shoes. No, it's a very effective way to thin through your deck, and you can essentially play a skeleton deck that's, say, 58 cards, 56 cards, and then the trekking shoes allows you to more consistently pull off that strategy. Reminds me of Acrobike or Judge Whistle, those kind of cards which help you optimize your deck to do exactly what you need. And it's perfect in Mew, because a lot of the time you just want to discard cards that you don't need, because that's ultimately the whole plan when you've got a handful of stuff, and always draw something that's more effective.
Yeah, no, and you see here the Judge from Ross playing really devil's advocate, knowing that Philip only has 3 cards in hand, but judging because he has to try and start getting into those Genesects. So, giving Philip 4 cards, not ideal, but getting set up is just that important. And we see here the 2 Nest Balls, perfect.
Nest Ball's an interesting one. A lot of Mew players debate how many Nest Balls you should have. Early on, fantastic. Late game becomes an unplayable card. So we even saw Gabor's list had no Nest Balls in it, opting for more Trekking Shoes. The Feather Ball has become more popular. Most people playing 1 or 2. But yeah, here we see the 2 Nest Ball count, and this is exactly why you have it in there.
Yeah, the ball count's really interesting. Like you said, in the late game, absolutely useless. But in the first couple of turns, Nest Ball really, really effective to get those Genesects down, like we see here. But of course, adding items into Mew VMAX, you have to say sometimes, okay, it's a great inclusion in some circumstances, but if not, it's just Cramorant fodder. It's just,
exactly.
it can get ultra balled later down the line. And here we see the 2 Nest Ball getting slammed down by Ross, and we see those Genesects coming down nicely.
Yeah, exactly. I think anyone who plays the game frequently and you've experienced a late game battle VIP pass in the hand, that's how Nest Ball typically feels in Mew. So you do have to be a bit careful with it, but I think when you're building a Mew list, optimizing it so that there is as few unplayable cards as possible is the key, and that's where we see cards like Fan of Wave, Echoing Horn. They're debatable, right? Because there is a lot of scenarios where you can't use them and they can clog up that Mew hand.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and trying to get cards down into your hands to make your Fusion Strike systems that more optimal. And we here see the Battle VIP pass coming down, like you said earlier. And I imagine it's probably going to be another Genesect, none in the prize cards.
Ooh, just going to fail it there.
Opting to fail there.
Okay. I wonder if is there one in the hand? Yeah, there was one in the hand. It was just playing it to try and get it out of the deck, out of the hand. And you see there that Feather Ball, a great card to find Mew early on, and an even better card to find that Mew VMAX late game. Can only pick out cards that have a 0 retreat cost.
Yeah, interesting to see him not using it now. He can thin out the deck to try and draw into that. That path to the peak. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that path to the peak. But I can't see the Lost Vacuum in hand. Opting to play two
power tablets in the Feather Ball. So you're right. He's just going to look to try and thin out that hand, recognizing that the disruption right now is far more important than anything else. And that's often a debate, right, with me. You've got to work out, do I keep stuff for late game, or do I look to try and disrupt? And we see the Forest Seal Stones going down, ideally not used to find the path here, but might be needed to find the path.
Well, that's one piece to the puzzle, the Forest Seal Stone coming down.
There it is.
We see the path to the peak. So, he's got that optimal start, like we said earlier, the Judge path, getting the option to get rid of the path next turn as well. And here we see just the pass, but of course Ross does need to draw into that VMAX next turn.
Oh, Pumpkaboo.
So, Pumpkaboo is straight down.
I just looked over, Amy got very excited over a Pumpkaboo going down. Pumpka Amy.
Yeah, and unfortunately now for Ross, we'll see in the later turns now whether the use of those 2 power tablet will come back and punish him.
I guess in game 2 you can play a little bit more risky, and this is part of that best of 3 game management. When you play a disruptive deck, you can often just think, well, the only way I'm going to win this is by pure disruption. And was that the Capturing Aroma perfect flip?
Yeah, that was a heads.
Yeah, this is looking pretty tough now for Mew, because there is the ability to Summoning Star, get those Archeops down, and it's only going to get harder from there.
Yeah, Philip's up and running here. We can see the Summoning Star for the 2 Archeops coming down now. And it's game on for Philip.
Pumpkin coming in clutch. Fossil Birds on bench. And it's going to be that energy acceleration now. Both dark type attackers going to be available. And this is the exact matchup right here. The first game, we saw how Mew wins. We are now witnessing how Lugia wins. It becomes very difficult from here. Knowing that there needs to be a switch energy on the Lugia to go into a dark type attacker means that the Lugia is probably going to be attacking this turn to try and get that first 2 prizes, leaving both those dark type attackers on the bench, not needed this turn.
Yeah, Lugia and that Ancient Wisdom ability from the Archeops, no strangers to the top tables. And here we see the Ancient Wisdom getting out a double turbo, a gift energy, and a V-Guard to make it that more difficult for Ross to take the knockout on the Lugia V-Star. And of course, Philip taking an easy 2 prizes against the Mew V. 180 HP is absolutely nothing compared to the 220 on that Tempest Dive.
I genuinely think this is the fastest matchup in the meta right now. We look at that bottom right corner, the clock. This would still be game 1 in a lot of matches, and that's why both these players can play it out a little bit further, see if there's any more information. Finding out there's a Yveltal in the deck was useful information. Might want to look through and see if the counts of V-Guard maybe, check out if there's a Duraludon or an Urshifu in there. All these different things that could become relevant next match. Mew just got that ability to force out a few more options, and then going into game 3, just that. This is the quality we see, isn't it? That there's all these little micro adjustments that top players make to gain a little bit of percentage advantage.
And I'll tell you, Philip's in a great position. Not only has he got the Lugia and the Tyranitar up and available for the next turn, but also, if Ross isn't able to take 2 prizes here and keep up with the prize trade, like you said earlier, a very quick game can happen here. But here we see the first Fusion Strike system draws into, I believe, Switching Cart and Lost Vacuum. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, if Ross isn't able to, sort of come back with a great knockout here, we could probably see Philip running away with this game.
We saw the difference in the first turn this game, right? That double Archeops in the discard pile really was so effective here, allowing them to set up just the Lugia V-Star needed. Path bounce was from the Pumpkin. We've got the Pumpkaboo as a way to get rid of a path to the peak. We've got 2 Mesagoza and a Collapsed Stadium. Collapsed Stadium can be a little bit counterproductive because it would reduce the space for the Archeops. But yeah, plenty of ways to get rid of the path to the peak.
Yeah, plenty of options for the Lugia deck to get rid of Path to the Peak. Of course, coming into this tournament, you'll be expecting some Judge paths coming down. So, playing to your most optimally, playing most consistently is definitely going to be the play here. And here we see the decision as to whether Ross would like to Lost Vacuum once more or whether he wants to go for a Path to the Peak. But Path to the Peak it's just not as effective as it once was in those first couple of turns. He's got those 2 Archeops down. They're going to be up and running regardless of the Path to the Peak being down. And the Tyranitar and Yveltal looking like a freak on a leash on that bench. He can just come in and take those massive 3 prizes against the UV Masters.
Yeah, they are scary. And I think the Lugia V-Star, its biggest enemy right now in this format is itself. Consistency is hard in a Lugia V-Star. You have to put so much special energy, so many different attackers in. You have to rely quite heavily on supporters to draw through the deck, which is why we typically see 4 research. And with that, you've got to start thinking about resource management. With the research being your main way to get through your deck, you end up discarding things that you don't want to discard, like energy, like urns, and then even on top of that, you've got the Tyranitar attacking and discarding things. So the challenge of Lugia is getting started and then managing your resources.
Yeah, and here we see Ross taking the knockout on the Tyranitar, just keeping up with that prize race, like I said earlier. But I really like Philip's setup. He's got the 2 Archeops down, of course, but he has prepped for the judges. He's prepped for the Rockstars. He's prepped for that disruption. He's got that Yveltal just there, looking really threatening for Ross. And here it'll be interesting to see what he promotes for this turn, and I imagine it will be that Yveltal for the knockout.
So that Tyranitar had a single strike energy on it, and that's been discarded. There's 1 in the prizes, so now there's only access to 2 unless Urn of Vitality is used. So that will mean that Yveltal won't be able to get fully powered up to do the attack that can knock out Mew VMAX. It will only be able to use Dark Cutter for 50 plus single strike energy power, and the single strike wings, which would typically be used to knock out Mew VMAX, won't be possible. So an Urn of Vitality is needed this turn.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Philip will have access to that Urn of Vitality. He does play 3. He does play the increased count to try and get those single strike energies back up into the deck. And here we see just that 1 surge from the Capturing Aroma, just looking at his odds as to whether he can draw into Urn of Vitality, just counting those single strike energies. And like you said earlier, knowing that only the Dark Cutter is active at the moment, but here we see the Tyranitar maybe coming down here.
Yeah, Tyranitar just too dark, too colorless, so possible to get the bigger attack there. Will potentially discard some stuff, and that's exactly it, right? Play out the game. You never know what might happen. There's always a chance to come back, and especially when there's plenty of time left. So just trying to play to the outs. Prize cards is such an important part of these kinds of matchups. Something very, very important could be in those last 4 prizes.
Yeah, Philip has a really interesting couple of decisions to make here. Although he's promoted the Yveltal, now he has to try and find a retreat into the Tyranitar if that Urn of Vitality is not an option to him. So here we see the single strike energy coming down on the T-Tar.
Yeah, I think there'll be through the first Archeops for the retreat, and then the second one will be a single strike energy and a double turbo.
Yes.
There is 1 double turbo prize, 1 on the Lugia.
There's the Urn of Vitality, yeah.
There we go.
It was in the hand. These gold cards throwing me off a little bit, but here we see the 1 single strike energy coming back into the deck, and I'm thinking he's opting to use the Tyranitar here as an attacking option. But like you said earlier, it's although it's a 2 prizer, if you're taking a 3 prizer as Philip, it's not a terrible price swap here for him.
No, because you can go 2 prizer into 3 prizer twice and you win.
Yep.
Whereas they have to go 2-2-2. Quick maths.
Yeah, no, for sure. Certainly is quick maths. And we see here Philip just shuffling the deck. Ancient Wisdom's used. Now it's party time. He's going to be taking a couple of prizes here with that massive single strike crush on the Tyranitar.
Yeah, and also I've got to love the Tyranitar artwork. One of my favourite Pokemon in the game, Tyranitar.
Yeah,
I love the pseudo-legendaries and just chilling out under a tree with a pig knight there.
He's chilling out, for sure.
Very different to the kind of damage he's putting out there. Does not look like a chill Pokemon when he starts swinging for 280 with weakness. Well, I think it's 260 with weakness because of the double turbo energy. So that'll be doing 520 damage right there.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a bit?
Just a bit.
That'll do it.
Yeah, maybe. Having to discard 4, of course, though, sometimes that can be a little bit scary, but seeing that Philip's only 1 prize card away, you know, he can just take an easy knockout on Genesect now with that Lugia. So here we see heads on the Chromatic. I'll be really interested to see what he takes here, because taking out that Tyranitar, I think is impossible now. I don't know if he's used all of his power tablets.
Yeah, I think it was too early on to thin out. There's one in the prizes, so maybe a choice belt and a last power tab. I'm not sure if one's disappeared throughout the game, but again, that's where the resource management comes in. We saw so beautifully at EUIC Pablo saving all 4 power tablets for the final knockout, and that is hard to do a lot of time in Mew when you're so tempted to just insta-play it, knowing that you can draw more cards.
Yeah, it's such a highlight moment in EUIC, and here we see Ross just deliberating what he can do here, really, to try and take the game. And of course, using those 2 power tablets, unfortunately coming up trumps here, but here we see
the path also stuck as well. And again,
also stuck, yes.
That's the point at the end of the game. If you path your opponent and they've got Archeops down, it often affects yourself more than it affects your opponents.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's not really doing much against the Lugia anymore. The 2 Archeops are down. All Philip will need to do is sort of stream attackers. And here we see just a little conversation. I think he's delivering whether to take the scoop. Going for the boss here.
Okay.
And this is really interesting, right? Because he promoted the Yveltal last turn, thinking he could maybe use it to take the knockouts. Having to waste 2 resources on the retreat, he could have promoted Lugia and have the free retreat already up and running, the manual retreat. Here we see, shown the double turbo energy. And
I was hoping he ran out of energy there and could just lock him out of the rest of the game. We know that's a common strategy against Lugia, only retreating through those energy. We've seen Mawile doing such a good job against Lugia, trying to lock it in front. Your block Snorlax.
Yeah.
You do love a little bit of a block Snorlax. So ways to beat Lugia often include Gust and leaving something in the active, but on this occasion there was 1 more energy to retreat it.
Yeah, I'm not shy of that game plan. But here we see Philip taking that game 2, and we're into the game 3. Really exciting stuff. I imagine Ross will be wanting to go first, getting those Genesects nice and set up. Also Mew ready for the Path Judge plays, I'm sure we'll be seeing. But really exciting stuff from both players.
Well, good morning, everyone. Hope you're waking up and getting into the Malmo Regional right now. We've been a few games in now. This is round 2 of the day, round 11 of the tournament. We've had the delightful games already on show. Rapid Strike Box versus Lost Box. Right here, we've got Mew VMAX versus Lugia V-Star. And so we are watching 2 quite novice players, Philip's first regional.
Yeah, an amazing achievement. First regional, day 2. I'll have that, please. It took me a while, but, this is just the great talent that's on show, and especially after recent happenings as well. A lot of players starting out online. They're starting out in local tournaments before they make the big jump into regionals. But, we were discussing the other day, Amy was saying, a lot of her local players, they play day in, day out. They take a lot of testing, and they come to regionals, take it by storm, and they're surprised for some reason. These are good players. These are players that know what they're doing. Yeah, and we're seeing that on show here.
The main thing is the fitness, isn't it? Once you start getting into later rounds, can you keep going? Day 2 after an exhausting day 1 can often be enough to start seeing mistakes come through. But so far, both players playing exactly how they should. The disruption from Mew working in game 1. Now game 2, Lugia played perfectly. We do see 2 Mew in the prizes there. Ross will be able to fully set up the board state he had in game 1 with 2 Mews and 4 Genesect, but could be interesting if one of those Mews goes down early. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see here. He has a very supporter-heavy hand with Ultra Ball. He has to join. Oh, finds the Mew there from the trekking shoes. Nice little start there, and we see him here deliberating the Ultra Ball. Ultra Balling away, I believe that's Judge and Arven,
okay.
I believe. So that Arven's no longer an option to him. Ultra Balling, I imagine, for another Genesect.
Yeah, just a 3 Judge in the deck. 1 in the prizes now, 1 in the discard pile. So it might be quite hard to get that early Judge off.
And not only that, but 2 Mew. You know, so that could also harm him in the later turns. But here we see him just doing a little prize check here. I imagine it'll be a Genesect to try and draw into just more pieces to try and find, you know, your Battle VIP passes, your Nest Balls. You know, he really needs an explosive start here.
Indeed. One of the scariest Ultra Balls in Mew early on is a Mew VMAX. You've got one in hand, you know it's clogging up that first hand. You think, I need to discard this, but if there's another Mew VMAX in the prizes, or both in the prizes, then it can checkmate yourself out of the game. On this occasion, the Judge is a scary prospect, but you can always get it back with a Pal Pad. So not too scary early on, but we see that Forest Seal Stone coming down and will likely opt for the perfect start if he doesn't find it off of that first Genesect.
Yeah, it's interesting to see whether he'll use the Forest Seal Stone here. Oh, and he does use it. You know, like I said earlier, it can be such a good utility card to try and find your last pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, you know, and especially in this matchup where you're judging, you're pathing, having to use Lost Vacuum, having to use these power tablets, these damage modifiers to take advantage over the game. But here we see him opting for the Battle VIP pass to just get set up in the first place. Yeah,
it's a preferred resource to hold on to. But so is a full bench of Mew, because you either find it exactly what you need later on with the VIP pass, or you draw into it with the massive amount of draw potential you have with that Genesect. So looking to go as wide as possible early on, only putting 1 Mew down, knowing that an early knockout is unlikely, so we'll probably survive that first turn, and we'll be able to find that Mew later on. More outs to the Mew as well with the Feather Ball, so makes sense to leave the Mew in there and try and draw as much as possible.
Yeah, there's not much pressure on him here to bench another Mew per se. You know, there's no immediate threat coming from the Lugia deck, so to speak. So here we see the pass, and we're on the other side of the door. Over to Philip.
And the question is always, do I path that first turn? Because it means that Luminion is active, which we see there in the hand. But equally, if you path that first turn, you might end up disrupting yourself more than your opponent, because they don't need to use the Summoning Star just yet. So sometimes it's best to hold onto the path and use it turn 2 and disrupt the Summoning Star. But now I think Burnett will be the target.
Yeah, there's 2 Lugia V-Star in the hand, which is really interesting. It's going to stop Philip maybe from using that Professor's Research. He really doesn't want to get rid of those 2 Pokemon, just because it really limits him to only the 1. Unfortunately, hasn't prized it. So here we see him deliberating, grabbing the Judge. He could also grab a Serena, I believe. Oh no, only 1 Serena in the deck, unfortunately, and it's prized. So he'll have to use a Judge, and this is going to be so unfortunate for Philip if he isn't able to find those pieces he requires.
Burnett, maybe?
And he's going for the research. This is huge. Okay, going for the research.
Because, the problem with Burnett is you do get the Archeops into the discard pile, but it doesn't get you through much of your deck. So interesting choice to go for the research there. It's not prize, is it, the Burnett? No. So yeah, that's typically the option early on. Luminion for Burnett, take it out. But yeah, those Lugia V-Stars are going to be taken away. Yeah. Maybe you'll go for...
Oh, that is super risky. And well, I suppose with the research, it gives him more outs to find another Lugia V. You know, that Mew ready with the double turbo is so intimidating. He is going to have to try and find another benched Lugia V. You do not want to be a Lugia V player with going second with only the 1 benched. And here we see the Nest Ball and the Tyranitar as well, so he can get nicely set up, and the Yveltal as well. Yeah,
you're right. The second Lugia is vital here, because even if retreat into the Luminion, then there's easy gust options for Mew, and we actually know there's a boss in Ross's hand as well. So very, very intelligent game plan here. This is why Philip has made it to day 2. He's thinking ahead, he's thinking smart, thinking safe, not getting greedy in these moments.
Yeah, but unfortunately for Philip, no option to get any Archeops in the discard pile.
Just the 1 from that research earlier on. Maybe no Read the Wind.
I would imagine it is going to be a Read the Wind here.
So maybe next turn we'll see something. There's not a huge amount of discard in the meta right now. Ultra Ball and Research being the 2 key methods, but it does make getting those Archeops into the discard pile a lot harder, which is why we do see the Burnett inclusion. But realistically, next turn, needs to get another Archeops into the discard pile, needs to get that Summoning Star off, otherwise Mew will start rocketing ahead.
It's going to be super interesting to see what he uses for Read the Wind. There's so many good resources in that hand. Pumpkaboo, Yveltal, V-Guard Energy, Tyranitar, all cards you really want to keep. So I think he's going to be debating actually Reading the Wind the Judge. And this is such a safe draw supporter ready for next turn. Little shake of the head there. This is drama.
V-Guard maybe? I mean, it's tough. Tyranitar down. Doesn't want to consider Reading the Wind that one.
Oh, he's Reading the Wind the Judge. This is such a safe option.
Oh, wow, there it is.
Decided to Read the Wind, and this is going to be a massive 3 cards for Philip.
Do you reckon Ross is sitting there going, if you're Reading the Wind that Judge, what's the rest of that hand?
Yeah, no, correct. And, you know, interesting for Ross, if he's seeing Philip Reading the Wind the Judge, he's going to be thinking, well, you just have research, right? If you're Reading the Wind the Judge, then you must be safe for next turn, and opting to use the Judge there as well.
It was almost guaranteed at some point Ross was going to try and judge there.
Yeah.
We do know that there's one in the discard, one in the prizes, so that single Judge found to be able to use there. But still, like, you have to judge not only a good hand, but a hand which has added 3 cards into it.
You do have to keep up the disruption. You're so correct there. And we see here the power tablet coming down. A lovely knockout on a V. Lugia V may be the way to go here. And we see the switching card. Lovely little draw there. And he's probably going to be hoping to draw right into the Path to the Peak from Fusion Strike system.
100%. Is that a V-Guard on the active Lugia, or is it a gift?
I believe it is a V-Guard energy. So, yeah, he will need another damage modifier, I believe,
yes,
to try and hit that 250 mark.
Okay.
He does have Ultra Ball in hand.
And so, I mean, the Echoing Horn that you see is one of those potentials to discard. Needs to keep the VMAX, needs to keep the Lost Vacuum. Yeah. I guess he could have got rid of the VMAX. He's only needing 2 this whole game.
Yeah.
But wants to hold on to that for next turn, potentially.
Yeah, wants to maximize his odds in hitting the Mew VMAX, just in case this one gets knocked out next turn. And Philip is able to pop off from the Judge. And here we see another Fusion Strike system continuing to draw through that deck, finding those pieces.
Okay, there's a Cramomatic there as well. That's another card to always be careful of overusing. You know, got rid of an escape rope there, which now means 2 switch outs are gone.
4, I believe.
And that's a even number, little heads there. So we'll see that choice belt coming down straight away. So the damage modifiers are there. Lugia being knocked out, which is exactly why Philip had to go for that research to try and get the second Lugia in play. Can get a Lugia taken out of the play and still go ahead, because we said the prize trade will go favourably. A 2 and a 1 prizer into the 3 prize Mew VMAX. But currently, 1 Archeops in the discard pile for Philip, no Lugia V-Star in play, and needs to potentially bump a path if that comes down too. Yeah,
we didn't get a chance to see those 4 cards that Philip drew from the Judge, but they will be absolutely huge. You know, Ross asking the question, you know, have you got it? You know, I'm asking you to get a lot more resources here. And drawing it into the power tablet is not something that Ross really wants to see so early in the game, because he needs to start drawing cards. He needs to find that Path to the Peak.
Yeah, we can see all 4 Genesect used. Does have an energy for the next Mew, but as you can see, no path. It's one less thing to worry about here for Philip.
Yeah, here we see Philip just debating what to promote here. If he's debating on what to promote, it's usually a bad sign. Oh, I believe he does have a Judge.
I guess if he puts the Tyranitar in the active, he doesn't need to retreat. So that's an advantage there. But I guess by putting the Lugia into the active, he doesn't back his ability to power up that Tyranitar right now. And so we'll look to try and get an attack in with Lugia. Judge. And knowing that 2 power tablets are gone, and knowing that there is not a huge development on the board in terms of now the Mew VMAX ready to go, might be able to get a turn back by taking a hit.
Yeah, another Judge here from both players, and this is going to be absolutely huge if he's able to find a discard for Archeops, and also the Lugia V-Star. This could be huge if he's able to find something like an Ultra Ball maybe to discard an Archeops, fortunate enough to draw into it. This will be huge.
So at this stage, 1-1, both players know that this game is going to conclude. We've seen the judge disruption is infrequently enough to stop either of these powerhouse
and he
decks
finds
from going.
it.
But he discards the Archeops with that Ultra Ball, will be getting the Lugia V-Star down, will be getting an attack off, and has the retreat ability into that Tyranitar, so we'll get a knockout right here as Lugia, through that judge, can attack.
Ask and you shall receive. You know, finding the Ultra Ball, finding the Archeops from that judge, really, really good show here. And of course, going for that Lugia V-Star, so he can use that Summoning Star nicely and most efficiently for those two Archeops.
So Archeops onto the bench here. We'll power up that Tyranitar on the bench. And we'll see it go into the active. Double Turbo was attached to the Lugia. Very smart before the judge to have that retreat option.
Yeah, have the retreat option.
And here we see it. This is prime Lugia in action. And the disruption, maybe that path would have been the final key that was needed to disrupt that turn for Ross, as we see the single strike crush being ready and poised to go in for the attack.
And that is a big boy. He's got 2 single strike energy. He's got the V-Guard attached as well. This is dreamland for Philip, and he's taking 3 prizes, knowing that Ross has already used a lot of his power tablets. You know, this Tyranitar is looking scary.
And even if you can knock out the Tyranitar, after disrupting your opponent, it has a gift energy attached. So they will get their hand up to 7. Another reason why the Roxanne can be much less effective in this matchup towards the end. Roxanne is in the loss zone, so no Roxanne will be available after this knockout. So no Vitality getting a single strike energy back in, and Philip is driving.
Yes, just that added consistency of the gift energy really can be over the threat. Give yourself, you know, an option to go over the threshold, you know, drawing up to 7 if your Pokemon is knocked out. And here we see, like you said, the manual retreat from the Lugia, promoting into the Tyranitar, and I can imagine a single strike crush.
At this stage, you can normally look at these players' faces and kind of gather what they think the outcome is going to be. And you can see Ross's face does not look confident here. And on the other side, Philip is just sort of breathing a sigh of relief as that turn went perfectly for him.
Yeah, the only thing to note really is that single strike crush did discard an Urn of Vitality, which means he only has 1 as an option left to him. But I think now that he's so far ahead in the prize race, taking those 3 prizes with the Lugia, with the Tyranitar, sorry, I imagine the only 1 Urn of Vitality is fine.
I'm pretty sure that Tyranitar can't be knocked out, because we've seen the Choice Belt being discarded with that Mew VMAX knockout. 2 power tablets gone. Needs 3 damage modifiers to get the Tyranitar, which is effectively on 260 hit points with the V-Guard energy. So this is going to be tough. That Tyranitar will just swing again next turn.
Yeah, that Tyranitar sticking around. You know, there's no fan of waves here in Ross's list, so he has no way of getting rid of that V-Guard energy. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Ross maps himself way back into this game. Otherwise, like we said before, Philip is just going to go home with this, with that Tyranitar.
So we are seeing a great show here of how both these decks effectively win the match. Early on is so key. That second and third turn for Mew to disrupt is key. That second and third turn for Lugia to set up the Summoning Star is key. And on this occasion, it will be Ross struggling after seeing such a powerful turn. Tyranitar unable to be taken down, will just sit in the active and will just keep swinging I guess, deck out.
Yeah.
Is that an option?
I don't believe so. I think there's so many resources still available to Philip. You know, whatever he bosses is just going to be an easy retreat cost away.
Yeah.
But, you know, going for the boss's orders on the Lugia V-Star. But of course, if you're not taking a knockout on that Tyranitar, you've got an issue. It's still there. It's still an option for Philip to take the win.
Yeah, you can't even start Psychic Leaping to try and only leave 2 prizes in play. It's just not enough damage.
No.
I guess you could Psychic Leap on the Tyranitar to put a little bit of damage on it and then take it out next turn, but still you're just giving away prizes, and eventually the Lugia will come out on top. And yeah, I see this matchup over and over again. I've played Mew myself, I've seen it. It's a struggle, but if you can get those judge paths off, and unfortunately the path was not available this time, it goes in your favor. The 4 path in Ross's list, and couldn't find one of them at the start to disrupt, so unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate for Ross. You know, it's just going to the game plan for Philip. This is exactly what he wants to see from his deck list. Using that Tyranitar, being so disruptive against the Mew, not only taking knockouts, but so hard to knock out.
Oh, there they are. There's the path.
There's a path.
Bit late.
Where have you been? Where have you been? I've needed you 2 turns ago. Well, here we see another Crabomatic, which I believe is a 4. So he's going to be looking through that deck, grabbing that double turbo energy. I suppose the only option here for Ross is taking the knockouts on the Lugia V-Star, but I still can't get around it. That Tyranitar's still alive.
Yeah, Tyranitar will just come and have a swing.
That Tyranitar is still there. It's still available to take a swing, so I'm unsure how Ross can really take this game. Opting to maybe put down the path to the peak, but like we said earlier, with the 2 Archeops up and running, it's really not as effective as it once was in those first initial turns.
Being that Psychic Leap. Okay, so that was a strategy we spoke about of trying to make sure there's no 3 prizes in play. You will get another turn back, but it does, however, mean just another 2 turns of swinging, and it will open up another route to victory of a 3 prize, 2 prize, 2 prize route. Doesn't need to go through that big Mew VMAX, and even if they can easily get a Mew VMAX knockout, so it's not too much of a threat. And I guess Ross is playing to his outs, right? He's playing to the idea that I will get one more turn. There is always a chance that through the way you've managed your resources, through those prize cards, that this Lugia might stick around and not be able to move. Yeah,
he's continuing he obviously has a game plan in mind here, but, what do you promote here? He's promoted the Genesect. Unfortunately, that can be knocked out by the Lugia V-Star. He's just bossed. So if Philip is able to find the resources here to take the knockout on the Genesect, it puts him only 1 prize away from going 9-1-1 in these regionals.
And you see that Penny there. Debate whether it's Penny or Thornton to play in this list. Penny allowing you to pick up basic Pokemon to heal damage or remove a Luminion from play, for example. Whether Thornton can be quite good at getting, say, a single strike Urshifu back into play if you need to have a second fighting attacker, or likewise with your dark attackers, you can bring them back into play from your discard pile if you accidentally get rid of them early on. So both of them are effective, both of them work very differently, but in this occasion, pennying up a Luminion is perfect right now to take away options for Ross.
Okay, this is interesting. I didn't see another double turbo in the deck, so if Ross is able to boss up that Lugia, he's going to be unable to make a manual retreat. So single strike crush here, and Ross could win through simply just decking out, but I'm unsure if there's enough time on the rounds to be able to win through that method.
Any bad Pokemon been discarded, like maybe a Pumpkaboo? So is that time in the round? I think so.
I believe so, and I don't believe Philip's taking his prize cards from the knockout on the Genesect yet. And here we see and I believe with that V-Guard energy that he does have the resources to be able to retreat the Lugia. So unfortunately,
a gift energy and a V-Guard could do it.
A gift energy and a V-Guard could definitely do it. Yeah, you are correct. And here we see benching another Mew here. I believe he may be going for that Psychic Leap play again.
So with those prize cards not being taken, this will be turn 1 now, right? Because it was...
Correct, yes.
So we've got 1 more turn here for Philip and 2 more turns here for Ross, I believe.
Yeah, going for the boss's orders there, asking Philip, do you have the resources to be able to retreat? Ross is playing not to lose here. It's a really interesting method. How do I not lose this game? I'm not taking the win here. I have no method of doing so. So how do I not lose? And here we see the path to the peak. And here we see debating whether to Psychic Leap again.
Yeah, he couldn't really use the Genesect there to draw because I think his deck is very thin. So didn't want to put himself in a situation where, say, a judge would deck him out.
Oh, no, he's drawn into the gift energy.
Oh, so he just draws
He's drawn into the gift energy, meaning he can't retreat.
Was that it? He needed that gift energy to retreat.
He can't use Ancient Wisdom on the gift energy if it's in his hand, so he has no way to retreat.
Because does he have 2 energy, 1 in hand, 1 in the deck?
He has no energy available to him in the deck. He can't attach the single strike energy. Oh, this is so unfortunate for Philip. Drawing into the gift energy would have given him the availability to retreat.
Does he have a V-Guard in hand then? V-Guard in hand.
He took the V-Guard off the prizes, so it would have meant he would have had to Ancient Wisdom attach and then attach the V-Guard, but there's no way of him being able to retreat, and he shows his hand saying, look, I've drawn into the gift energy, so I can't retreat.
That is, I mean, Ross playing to his outs there, that is it, and you can see how much that's frustrated Philip. He was so far ahead in that game, and the disruption by Ross, recognizing the bossing of the Lugia would destroy the energy resources there for Philip, and just an unfortunate top deck there with the gift energy
so unfortunate.
Secured the game, and it's going to be a draw here for Ross and Philip.
You know, this was, Ross was playing to his outs, but, you know, I just didn't think the odds were in his favor here. You know, just the odds of him drawing into that gift energy, the odds must have been like so
1 in 15
low. They must have been. They must have just been so low. But, you know, like you said, Ross playing to his outs, genius.
Genius. I mean, as we said, that matchup typically goes to 3 games. It can typically finish well within the round time, but on this occasion, it went right down to that end. Both players playing it out, finding out the resources, and, you know, a list which has 4 single strike, 2 double turbo, 3 V-Guard, 3 gift. Eventually, they might run out, and with that Tyranitar having a V-Guard and a gift on it, lots of double turbos used to retreat throughout the game, and all it takes is one of those single strike crushes to discard another energy, and you're starting to look pretty sketchy towards the end.
And it's interesting to mention, you know, promoting that Yveltal on that big judge play, you know, having to waste those resources on the retreat had really come in detrimental to him in the end. You know, not promoting that Lugia, which already had the energy to manually retreat. It's a game of resource management as well as taking those big knockouts, and that's exactly what we saw here.
Well, I mean, the experience from Ross there coming through, but also Philip, a new player to the scene, you know, first regional here, amazing performance from him. I'm sure we'll see more of him in day 2s if he plays like that. You know, it was, at the end there, you know, in hindsight, we could say there was a small misplay here or there, not playing around that boss out, but I'm sure he'll go away, learn from that, recognize that's an option towards the end of a game for a Mew VMAX, typically a very disruptive deck, and that's a new form of disruption he has to think about. So, well played to both players, a valiantly fought battle. Going for the draw, I think, is a fair result.
Yeah, no, for sure, and such a great game. Both players were able to showcase their decks flawlessly. You know, both players able to show what their game plans exactly are. You know, Lugia with such aggression with the Tyranitar really on show, but also the disruption of Mew, the disruption with the Judge Path Prey method. I mention it over and over again, so effective, and, you know, what a showcase for those both decks.
Yeah, I think the players will think, you know, we are very good players, deserving of a draw, but walking away from that, Philip's going to be thinking, I should have won that. Where we're going to see the other side walking away going, I should have lost that. So I think we know how that's going to affect them going into the next round. Hopefully for Philip, he doesn't get in his own head off the back of that. So fingers crossed for both players. They keep doing well, and maybe we'll see them in our top 8. But we are going into round 12 soon, because that one went right to time. So we'll show some fun little videos here for you, and then we'll be back with round 12 in just a bit.